G'day everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Reef Facebook Live as part of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority's International Year of the Reef celebrations. My name is Fred Nusafora, and this is Dr. Mary Bonnen, our Assistant Director of the Crown-of-Thorns Starfish Control Program. And maybe her title has given away the critter that we're going to be focusing on today. You know, these critters are quite amazing animals. Yeah, no blood, no brain. You know, can do amazing things.
Yeah, they're basically eating machines.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about crown-of-thorns starfish.
Well, they're a species of starfish that lives on coral reefs and feeds exclusively on live coral. And as you can see, they have lots of arms, not just 5, and their entire bodies are covered with these nasty venomous spines, and that's why they get their name, crown-of-thorns.
And so, Mary, where do we typically find them, and what do they actually eat? What's their favourite coral to eat?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we find them on coral reefs throughout Australia, and as well as across reefs in the Indo-Pacific and the Indian Ocean. So they're a natural species in Australia. They're not an exotic or introduced species. But when they have population outbreaks, they can become quite a pest. And that's because they eat a lot of coral. So they love branching corals, and these are the corals that give the reef its structure and are really important for the ecosystem.
So just wanted to remind all of the audience out there watching this morning, if you have questions, please send them in. The team from our communications unit is here too. You can't see them, they're over there doing the magic behind the camera. But they'll relay your questions to us. So just quickly checking in with the team. Any initial questions so far? Nothing about my shirt already? No? I specifically wore this on Tropical Friday. So Mary, now I know how these guys eat coral, right? And can you tell us a little bit about how they eat coral? It's probably not the nicest description on the planet, but it's a really cool way of eating. So can you tell us a bit more about it?
They're pretty efficient feeders. So instead of taking bites of coral, they actually extrude their entire stomach out through the middle of their bodies, through their mouths, and that stomach extrudes digestive enzymes that basically liquefy the coral tissue, and that leaves behind a scar of white coral skeleton.
Wow, so if you went out to dinner with one of these crown-of-thorns starfish, what you're telling me is they sort of crawl onto the plate of food, vomit their stomach up to the outside of their body, and then digest their food outside of their body, yeah?
It's not pretty.
Gee whiz, look at this. And I tell you what an amazing critter, yeah?
Yeah.
And I reckon I know that arm. That's our senior aquarist, Hamish. He's helping out, just positioning some starfish for us this morning. But, for the novices at home, I wouldn't be handling that starfish without having any protective gloves on. But our senior aquarist knows his way around a crown-of-thorns starfish, so he's pretty okay handling him there for us this morning. So, Mary, how much could one of these critters eat in one day?
Well, they eat about 250 centimeters square of coral, which might not mean that much to you, but essentially that means each starfish eats a couple coral colonies a day.
Yeah, a couple of coral colonies a day.
Yep, each one, and there are likely to be millions of those starfish out on the reef.
Wow. So I'm not really good at maths, but even my limited maths ability is telling me that when we have an outbreak, we call outbreaks of crown-of-thorns starfish, they can be really, really damaging for tropical coral reefs.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the theories behind how outbreaks occur?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, outbreaks are caused by a number of factors, including human activities.
Yeah.
So these starfish, first of all, have really high reproductive potential. every single one of the females can produce up to 65 million eggs per spawning season. So that's a lot of eggs to start with. And then things like terrestrial runoff, so nutrients from the land that run into the Great Barrier Reef and decrease water quality, also actually gives those juvenile starfish more food so that more of those larvae end up on the reef. And the other thing that also plays a role in outbreaks is removal of the predators, the natural predators of starfish, through fishing. So that reduces the natural means by which the populations are kept in check. So it's a combination of their natural, amazing reproductive potential plus human activities like terrestrial runoff and overfishing.
Yeah, so that's a couple of key points there for the audience. So if you happen to read any of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority's Outlook reports, the key issues facing the Great Barrier Reef, water quality is up there in, I guess, the top two, right behind climate change. So, the quality of water reaching the Great Barrier Reef, particularly if it's nutrient-rich water, can, cause these guys to have a conditions which really help their sort of population growth and all that sort of stuff. And the other important point there being fishing effort as well. And that's why the zoning plan that we have in place to manage activities on the Great Barrier Reef, such as fishing, is so important, and ensuring that when we go out to the Great Barrier Reef that we have our zoning map in hand with us, know where we're going, know where we're fishing, and we're abiding by that zoning plan at all times when out on the Great Barrier Reef. So, Mary, so you're heading up the Crown-of-Thorns Starfish Control Program.
That's right.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the control program and how do we do it? How do we control these things?
Sure. Well, just like any pest management program, we work very hard to cull the starfish. So we have trained divers and vessels that go out and cull the starfish on really high value reefs in the marine park. And they cull the starfish by injecting it with a modified Drench Gun with a solution that essentially kills the starfish in 24 to 48 hours. So the divers go down, place one injection in the arm of one of these guys, and they're toast. And we know through the research that that injection solution is really highly effective at killing the starfish, but it isn't damaging or harmful to any other organisms on the reef. So it really does an excellent job of killing the starfish.
So what is it? What is that liquid that we use?
One of them is bile salts. So it's actually, crazy enough, it's the bile from ox.
Cows?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Wow.
So you think about these guys, most of their bodies are water, and then they have all these tissues. So it's essentially an acidic solution that basically dissolves them from the inside out.
Wow. And I guess that Drench Gun you mentioned before, so I grew up on a cattle property.
Yep.
So Drench Gun is that gun that you see graziers and farmers applying things like sort of insecticides and stuff to the back of cattle, and drenching for worms in sheep and things like that. But ours have a big long needle on the front.
Yep.
So the divers can swim down, and the old school liquid or the solution, we used to have to put lots of, like, I heard that we had to put sort of like an injection at the base of each arm of the starfish.
Yep.
I mean, they could have up to sort of like 15 arms or even more.
Absolutely.
Yeah? But the new injections now is a one-shot stop.
One shot and they're toast.
Yeah.
So it's really revolutionized our capacity to kill lots of starfish and in doing so protect coral on the Great Barrier Reef.
So I think we should also give a bit of a shout out to the COTS Control Program divers that are out on the reef.
Absolutely.
And our partners in our Joint Field Management Program that are out doing lots of surveillance, finding out exactly where these populations are presenting themselves, feeding that information into you, managing the program. You then work with our COTS control divers. They're out on the water phenomenal amounts of time. How many days in a year are they out there diving?
They're out there 240 days a year. So most of the year, these COTS divers are underwater, protecting the reef from these nasty coral feeders.
Yeah, so
working very hard.
Not all superheroes wear their undies on the outside of their clothes. Some of our superheroes wear wetsuits.
That's right.
Our COTS control divers are out there doing an amazing job keeping the population of crown-of-thorns starfish in check. So I just want to quickly look out to the audience to see if there are any questions coming in. I know that we have to wrap up now, and just triple checking, no questions. I'll be an auctioneer.
We must have answered them all.
One's just come in.
All right.
Obviously your tactic works there, Fred. Sharon has asked, how many crown-of-thorns have you culled?
We've culled over 700,000 crown-of-thorns.
That's
and counting.
Over an area of sort of how big?
Well, gosh, I think
Lots.
It would be, over 1 million football fields.
Wow. So, that's an amazing effort. And I guess the other thing there is that this is all about, I guess a key point I'm sure you'd like to make it too, Mary, is that we aren't chasing, this isn't a cull total chase, is it? We're not trying to get 1 million starfish. It's all about coral cover protection for you in the COTS control program. Hey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this program isn't about getting a high body count or eradicating the starfish. It's because it is a natural species on the reef. It's about bringing its numbers back into balance. So we target the reefs that are most ecologically and economically valuable and make sure that starfish numbers are in check, because that influences the resilience of the Great Barrier Reef.
All right, so look at this. We waited right to the end to get these questions flowing in. So let's take them.
Sharon, who just asked the question before, wanted just to clarify with that, I think it was 700,000 crown-of-thorns. What was the time frame for that?
That's been since 2013.
Yeah, so what's that? We're in 2018 now, so about 5 years. Yeah? 5, 6, 7, 8, that's about right.
Yeah, and it's really important to understand, Sharon, that it's not exactly, the metric of success isn't how many starfish we could get. It's about making sure that we're bringing the starfish back into sustainable numbers on those reefs that are most important for spreading coral larvae and enhancing coral reef resilience.
But before we sign off today, we should crow a little bit about the success of our program. So on was it 57 odd or more reefs that we're culling on?
Yep.
The coral cover we've been able to maintain on those reefs well above a great benchmark. Yeah?
Yep. So we are strategically protecting 57 high-value reefs with our 2 current control vessels. And we're doing a great job in that regard, or the divers out on the water are maintaining coral or COTS numbers below those ecological thresholds and maintaining coral cover on those priority reefs. And now we're going to be adding some new vessels to our fleet, which is really exciting because we'll be able to do that on a wider range of reefs across the entire marine park.
I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't too sure whether I was allowed to say that yet or not. But it's great news. Yeah,
Cat's out of the bag.
We're expanding the
Yep.
program. Yeah, how good's that?
Yep.
Great news for the reefs in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. Well, Dr. Mary Bonnen, it's been wonderful chatting to you this morning about crown-of-thorns starfish, aka COTS. Sharon, thank you very much for your questions today. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in and listened to our Reef Live. So there's only one last thing to do, Mary. Now, let's get our hashtags up. Hashtag love the reef, everyone. So, Dr. Mary Bonnen, thank you very much. Hashtag love the reef.
Thanks.
See you later, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye
Fred.
now.
Bye.